May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Kook Audio podcast. I'm DC, Poobah of Kook Audio and Kook Archives, doing our bit to help preserve the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths cross his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic suffering, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today we have a guest, Adam Beck, but before I talk about that, I want to. There's some errata from last week. One thing I'd like to apologize for a sloppy job of making the podcast last week. There was way too much like hemming and hawing, and it was just undisciplined and did not show respect for the audience. It's because I wasn't reading it, or it was just it was just off the top of my head, stuff I'd been studying. I'd been looking into, beginner's mind, what's the story of it. So as a result of it, I wrote something that's on Kook.com that's much more together and disciplined and without all the unnecessary flotsam and jetsam. Just go to the Zen Mind Beginner's Mind section of Kook.com. It's right there on the main page for that. ZMBM, just write ZMBM in the site search box. And also I made a bad mistake in it. I said that Beginner's Mind showed up in Google Books once every 1.2 million words. Absolutely not. That would be, what would that? That would be something like maybe, I don't know, mindfulness, it wouldn't be that many. Is once every 177 million words, which makes more sense and is still pretty good. I mean, it's really made inroads into the respected, and I think it's the respected. What do you say? Collective consciousness, and I think it's going to have lasting power. And will express itself in other ways, as Suzuki so clearly felt that, so many things were expressing it, like big mind, way-seeking mind, inmost mind, original mind. He would say at times, like it's the same. But actually, one characteristic to me of Suzuki's teaching is getting to a place where he would say things are the same. And of course, it was the same and different. It was always both. But he said the same more than we're used to hearing. And I could go on about that. But this is Adam Beck's podcast. So Adam, I've known since he was 2 years old because we bought Tassajara in 1966, and, well, it depends on when I met him. I think I met him in the winter or spring of 1967. I don't know, Adam, I don't know when your birthday is. I forget. So when you were 2 or 3. And because you're born in 1964. And I have known Adam as he grew up, meeting him, here and there and now and then, and, keeping up with each other. And so he has quite a bit to say about Tassajara and Suzuki and Baker and his wonderful parents, Robert and Anna Beck, who sold us Tassajara, if I hadn't made that clear, and are really two of the great benefactors of the San Francisco Zen Center in that they did that. And, we gave them a lifetime estate there in a sense. They decided not to build. It'd be too it just wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have been good for them either. But they could just come anytime they wanted. And so Zen Center has, I learned by talking to Adam, has generously extended that to him, and that is really wonderful. And that is the right spirit. So anyway, let's go on and hear what Adam has to say. And so here we go. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
You look good.
Thank you. I feel pretty good
Yeah.
considering age, my relative age and infirmities.
I figured you must be 62?
61 in about a month.
61.
Yeah.
So you were born in,
64.
well, I've got a lot of things I'm interested in hearing from you, but why don't you tell me what you're up to now? I mean, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is I've been thinking, how am I ever going to talk to David when we keep missing each other because our time schedules are so different, and that I finally just uh, pulled out the stops and said, "Oh, I'm just going to call him." And
So I'm glad you did.
but I am. Let's see, what am I doing? I have a child. I'm older than you. I look very different than you remember me, probably, and bigger and older.
You look good.
Thank you, thank you. You do too. You. How old are you?
80.
Wow. Wow. Clean living. Clean living.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've, I stopped everything but tea and chocolate back. Oh God, in around when I turned 60.
Uh-huh. That's so if I don't drink, I don't do any, I have virtually no vices anymore except chocolate and coffee.
Yeah, you're chocolate and coffee. I'm chocolate and tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And my wife is inspiring. She's very involved with 12-step stuff. She's 26 years without a drink. That's pretty
I,
cool.
I'm 22.
22. Oh, you're ahead of me. That's good, man. You quit young. That's good. Well, that's what I thought when I saw you. You don't smoke either, right?
No, no,
Yeah.
no, not.
I used to be the maitre d' of Zen Center's Greens restaurant the first 2 years. And I could tell we had a smoking section for, I don't know, the first year or something. And I could tell smokers. I got to where I just look at people and say, smoking? And they go, how'd you know?
Yeah. I've got to get a little camera because I can see you, but you can't see me. It's not fair. You deserve to be able to gaze upon my beautiful visage.
uh,
I sent you a thumbs up on one of our conversations, one of our text conversations, and I remember you had thank you and okay. Do you remember thank you and okay?
I
The
do. I do.
And there's that book of matches, the nondescript book of matches that you had found in the temple in Japan
Right.
with the thumbs up, and it said thank you and okay, but it had nothing else on it.
No, well, no, it had the most famous baseball player in Japan with his thumbs up going, and then it had thank you and okay under it.
I still remembered that. And when I put the little thumbs up icon on there, I thought of that, and I thought, oh, that's relevant.
All right. So I want to know what you're doing. Like you're doing bartending, right?
Yeah, I had taken over the family business selling art, and I'm painting. I paint,
Oh,
uh, and I sell my paintings,
oh.
and I bartend, and I bartend for George Lucas, the guy who did Star Wars.
Well, I know who he is. Actually, I used to do stuff for him. Where do you bartend for George Lucas? That's pretty cool.
At his ranch in Marin County.
Oh, no kidding. Skywalker Ranch. And what I always thought was cool about it, it's on Lucas Valley Road.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just at the Skywalker Company picnic today.
Ah, ah. Wow, that's really neat. That's really neat. Yeah, I've been in there, and I was in one party, and I used to help when they had like before a premiere, when they were working on a film, and they wanted to get feedback. I I provided an audience for them because
Ah,
I'd worked with the California Conservation Corps, so I could get randomly selected. The Corps members were randomly selected, and so I could get randomly selected young people between 18 and 21 to either Skywalker Ranch or a theater where it was happening whenever they wanted, as long as they weren't fighting fires or some emergency, with, a day's notice, and they wouldn't know where they were going because the security was so tight.
yeah.
And also, I got Zen Center kids in on it too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the security up there is pretty. I'm not even supposed to talk about it, what I see there, or even really to tell you what I do there.
Yeah,
We all sorts of non-disclosures and all that stuff, but now you know. So
yeah, yeah. George Lucas was one of the donors to my trip to Japan in 1988.
he is a very philanthropic person. He's a very good man, I think.
Ah, well, that is far out. Now, so do you still have the antique store and at the hub in San Anselmo?
No, no longer. When the housing bubble burst in 2008, business flatlined, and I stopped doing it. So now I broker paintings sometimes, and I sell my own paintings. That's all I do.
Well, what about the antiques and art and stuff that were there?
I got a lot of it hanging on my walls, and a lot of it on display at my house. And I sell a piece every now and then to people that I know, but have generally kept it. And we had a large inventory, and my mother passed as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
quite aware. I was in touch with you and in touch with her down in Santa Cruz. Huh?
Yeah. And Leslie James was kind enough. They held a ceremony for her at Tassajara.
Oh,
Uh,
wonderful. I didn't know that. Wow.
and she is, so I have yet to scatter her ashes, but I'm going to scatter her ashes in the horse pasture. Uh, my father's and my little sister's ashes are scattered in the horse pasture at
Is that
Tassajara.
right? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, your father, Bob Beck, and one thing that he really liked that he had in the antique store there were Chinese wisdom stones. Am I saying that right?
They were scholar stones.
Scholar stones. Did you have any of those?
Yes, but I'm not perceptive enough to understand their meaning. Uh, no, I do have some of them, and I've kept some of the ones that I really love. Yeah.
Oh, good, good. I never worry about meaning. I mean, you just look at them, you know. They're very cool. I want to see your penny. Do you got anything online we can share?
Maybe on my Facebook page, I'll figure out a way to show you some stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll put some of it on. I'll make a page for you on Cuke.com and put some of your art on it or something like that.
I'll send something along to you.
Yeah. All right, cool, cool. Well, uh, you and your late, may she rest in peace, Katie, sister, your younger sister, were influential in Zen Center buying Tassajara from your parents
Yeah,
because Anna was pregnant and you were a toddler, and she
yeah,
was telling Bob, "This is too much." And he finally realized it. But I think it
yeah.
was the kids that really tipped the scale there.
Well, we initially had Tassajara with the Roscoe family, and they spent about 3 months up there, and they went, "Oh, we're out of here. We're done."
Well, they had a reason.
Yeah,
Nancy got pregnant,
yeah.
and
And go ahead, David. Sorry.
go on.
Well, yeah, and my parents followed suit not too long afterwards.
Oh no, it was long afterwards. It was 5, 6 years afterwards. I mean, the Roscoes, they, incidentally, I have a book coming out in September called Tassajara Stories.
Yeah, I
And,
saw.
yeah, and it only goes through the first year, and there's a great deal about all this, and there's a great deal about your father and your mother, and uh, and in the second book, the second book goes 68 through 71, and you've got a little cameo in there with that nice Suzuki memory you had. Hey, can you remember it now?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's something I'll never forget.
Yeah,
And
tell it.
yeah, so I remember we were all standing. It was outside of the office, and we were kind of over on the right on the lawn. And Suzuki Roshi was standing facing us, and he spread his arms, and I thought he looked like a huge bat with his robes, and it scared me to death. And I hid behind my parents. And then he was so kind and so lovely that I peeked out, and he smiled at me, and I realized that he wasn't a big bat that was going to, he wasn't a big scary bat, that he was a person, and that he was all right. And then we fell into talking and everything, and he was lovely. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, I love that. And you, so that would have been 67. You would have been, it would have been about,
I was
you wouldn't have, it would have been not 3 yet.
just about three, I think.
Yeah,
Just about, yeah. Yeah, something like that.
yeah. Uh, that's neat. That's neat. Um, well, what do you, what do you remember? Do you remember anything about being at Tassajara? I mean, you were there.
I remember a lot. I
Yeah.
remember I remember when we were rebuilding the baths, and I remember Dick Baker and Ed Sadazan, and I remember Reb Anderson, and you, of course, and Leslie. All of those people were hovering, and for years to come, we were in and out of there a lot, with my dad and mom. We were back and forth in Tassajara,
Yeah.
and I remember that we had the mules there, and we had to get all of our stuff out. And but I remember them. I remember the Weston family. The kids of the famous photographer Edward Weston, Cole Weston, and his kids helping us rebuild the baths.
Ah. Oh.
Uh, Baths. And it was required paving and rebuilding the bridge across the creek, and I remember them telling me, I slipped and fell one time because I was playing over there while they were doing it, and I remember them telling me, if you slip and fall and hit your head, around all of the hot springs, you're going to get a bump on your head and it's going to turn green because of the sulfur in the water. Uh, they, they were trying to scare me into sitting around and playing while they were working.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that's interesting that you use the name Weston because Bob and Anna mentioned various photographers because they had photography workshop, and that isn't one of the names they mentioned. So we'll
There
add
was,
that to the list. Uh,
there was, there was Morley Bear,
yeah,
Edward West, and I think Ansel Adams, were people that were in that circle of that group of photographers, famous,
yeah, yeah. Ansel
photo-
Adams was definitely there. And Morley Bear's son Josh
Joshua
came
Bear. Yeah.
and did dishes. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I wish my camera was on because I have a Morley Bear photograph hanging on the wall behind me. I still have some of his stuff.
Oh, wow. Far out. Well, that's interesting. He did some photography for the first fundraising pamphlet that Zen Center sent out to actually, when it was still to buy the horse pasture. Are you aware of that? The original fundraising was to buy the horse pasture?
Yeah, my parents had related that to me, and that they wanted to sell the horse pasture initially, and Dick Baker was sort of acting as a go-between for Suzuki Roshi with my parents, and and Suzuki Roshi really wanted Tassajara. He didn't want the horse pasture. Uh,
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening because that was his desires to have Zen Center be at the hot springs itself, not
Yeah.
the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a great, I've got a great memory from your mother of, from both Bob and Anna. But Anna, one thing is that they really wanted Zen Center to have it,
They
and
did.
they were willing to sell it for less than they thought they could get it from others, and there were others interested. Uh, and but they really wanted Zen Center to have it. And Anna described the final agreement at this Japanese restaurant on Van Ness
Yeah,
in San Francisco, and she said, "I felt like we were handmaidens of Buddha."
yeah, yeah. My parents did want Zen Center to have it, and this happened with the horse pasture itself, which we later sold, and we sold it to the Wilderness Land Trust, which is a holding company for the Bureau of Land Management and the National Forest Service. And we decided that the altruistic and philanthropic thing to do was to sell it to them so that it would never be developed. Because Tassajara, the Zen Center what didn't have the funds to buy it at the time that we were selling it. So we sold it to the Wilderness Land Trust to hold in perpetuity. So it was a wild space, so that it would never be developed.
Right. I was involved with that. Uh,
Yeah.
I got the Wilderness Trust people together with Bob over at the antique shop in San Anselmo, and it was sort of interesting. I was just visiting Tassajara. You know, if I was there, there was a reason. I was there for 10 days, and I'd wash dishes. I didn't just drive in and visit. Uh, so it was probably one of those times, and there was a woman walking around, uh, and I said hi to her, and she she wanted to know about the horse pasture and this and that, and nobody knew anything.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I do." And so I talked to her, and I said, "Well, you need to talk to Bob Beck." And so I arranged a meeting, and like a couple of days later, we met in San Anselmo. And then next thing I heard, the deal had gone through. But
Yeah.
I think I think your parents made a good bid on that.
Yeah, that was her name was Bettina Ring.
Oh wow, that is cool. But Bettina Ring.
Ring was the woman from the Wilderness Land Trust. I don't know if she's still with them, but a man named Howie was the president of the Wilderness Land Trust at the time. So, my father at that point was, we negotiated all of this and talked amongst ourselves, and I had a lot of interactions with her as well because I was, doing the gopher work for getting all of that set up, and that's how that all went down.
I think you were there when we met.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I remember you were there. Uh, yeah, and that was my only role. I didn't keep up with what was happening, but I'd see Bob and go visit him, and I'd see Nancy too.
Yeah.
And I mean, she lived walking distance from
Yeah.
there, and of course, Bob was together with Nancy a long time.
David, Nancy just passed away 3 weeks ago.
Oh my God! Can you send me something on that?
Yeah, I went to her memorial in San Francisco. Or actually, she passed about a month and a half ago. Her memorial was 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
Uh,
please, send me something on that. I'll post it. I
but
didn't know.
I will collect what I can and get it to you.
Did she get dementia?
And she was in a what they call a memory care facility.
Uh huh.
And had was and I visited her, and she was not able to comprehend who I was, and
Uh huh.
all of
Uh huh.
that.
That's really deep dementia because you remember Yvonne Rand.
Ron Rand, yeah, sure.
She got dementia, but when she always knew who I was when I talked to her, and and she was very loving and had a very benign type of and that said very wise things, before she died. And Silas Hoadley, you probably remember him, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, he got dementia, and I talked to him right before he died, and he would remember who I am. But he would, I mean, he definitely had, serious holes in his memory. But yeah, George Wheelwright, who sold us Green Gulch Farm, he got total dementia.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just hoping that I can remember my own name within the next few months. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, indeed. Hmm. Hmm. And the the pines, the pine. Your parents had three lots, right? Or three. What do you call it? Three inholdings in the national forest. They had Tassajara, they had the horse pasture, and they had the pines, and they were all right near each other. I don't. I don't think they touched. I know the
uh,
pines didn't. Well,
Pines was a separate parcel, and the horse pasture I think did touch the border of Tassajara,
it did,
and and
like up
and
at
I
Flag Rock or something.
yeah, and I think it was an irregularly shaped parcel, and I think also it came close on the trail from the horse pasture that went down to the Narrows,
Right,
you know,
right,
the cutoff trail.
right.
Yes, yeah, it did border Tassajara.
And Zen Center bought the Pines, ooh, maybe in the 70s, because Richard Baker was, he was very expansive. He probably would have figured out a way to get the horse pasture too later.
Yeah.
Uh, but the Pines Zen Center sold, I guess, to the Wilderness Trust. Not that long ago, I think 5, 10 years ago or something.
I'm
Uh,
not sure that I don't know anything about that part of it, but I didn't know that they had sold it to the land trust, that they had sold the pines.
yeah, yeah. Um, Same sort of thing. Uh, I have stuff on all that on Cuke.com, and but I forget. There's dementia and there's just normal, losing a lot of memory as you get older, and
Yeah.
that starts when you're younger too, and it's sort of humorous. It's nouns, mainly proper nouns, and nouns. But anyway, so tell me more.
Well, I'm just trying to forget all of the derogatory verbs that I know. I'm going to keep the proper nouns, but I'm going to get rid of the derogatory adjectives and adverbs and verbs that I use. So I'm trying to clean up my language. But
Uh,
let let's see. Let me tell you more. Well, my son has been going to Tassajara since he was very little.
oh, that's neat. Tell me
Yeah.
about
And
your. Yeah, I want to hear about all that sort of thing.
so he's lovely. He's turned out to be a sweet kid. And I was going to ask you, where in the world is Clay?
Clay is in he's not far from you. He and his wonderful mate April are living in, God, where are they now? Because they move a lot. They I they're near Santa Rosa,
Oh, okay.
and they were in Ashland for a year. That was pretty cool, but they've got grandmothers in Santa Rosa, and they were
Oh,
here. They were here for 6 weeks in Bali 2 years ago, and that was far out. That was far out. With their, let's see, Isla then was, ooh, how old was Isla? She was like 2 or something like that. And the Clay's daughter Lucia was here in April with her mother for a month, and that was their second trip. But yeah, so I want to hear more about your son. How old is he?
he is going to be 16 in a month.
Oh,
On and he is sweet, and he's a teenager, which sounds like it's an oxymoron, but it's not. Uh, It's lovely. And I was saying he'd been going to Tassajara since he was little, and my mother before she passed and I had talked with Leslie James, and they had extended. We have a lifetime estate, and for all of us to go up to Tassajara when we want to,
oh,
and
that's good. I'm glad you told me that. That is far out. That is great.
extended that to Ronan. Although they are now not doing a guest season, they're just having retreats, study retreats. So we're trying to figure out a way to go up there. Uh, we weren't able to do that this year. So um,
Well, no, when you say you weren't able to do it, why were you not able to do it?
because they have paid retreats now. They don't have a guest season. They would always accommodate us during the guest season, but they everything was booked because they have these retreats that you pay to go do a week-long yoga workshop or a
Yeah,
week-long week
yeah.
of meditation.
That's evolving. Uh,
It's evolved.
you'll get in. You'll get back in. That's really good to hear. That was extended. I mean, initially, and I always dealt with Bob a lot. So I knew what was happening with. Initially, part of the contract was they could build a home there.
Right.
And Bob and I, whenever he'd come, I'd join him and we'd go look and he'd figure out where to put it and this and that. But then eventually, they decided, that they can just come be guests there anytime they want instead. And
Yeah.
that's really what worked out.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that us talking about it as a family when it was still on the table, and my dad saying, "Well, we felt like it would be obtrusive to have a house." We were looking up above, on the trail that goes to the Narrows. There's a flat area, sort of level area up on the hill on the right as you're going towards the Narrows, and they were talking about, my dad was saying, well, we could build a place up there. And then, later thought, well, it would be obtrusive if he were up there, when there were students and we had our kids running around and we were sort of in the way. And it would be, didn't know how harmonious a situation that would be to actually have a house up there. So they decided that it would be better to just go as guests in perpetuity. So
Yeah, a lot cheaper too, like zero.
yeah,
Where
well,
the other thing would be building a home and
exactly.
just taking something else on. And they had taken so much on when they got Tassajara. My God.
Oh yeah. Well, they dammed the creek. They dammed the creek. They rebuilt the baths. They rebuilt the bridge. It was a major undertaking. A
Yeah.
major.
With so
Yeah.
few people.
Yeah.
God, it's just unbelievable. Uh, and Bob knew so much about Tassajara. I was always impressed with that.
Yeah.
He knew the stone once, and I include this. This is in the second book. He and I are standing on the bridge, and this is something that really happened. After some horrendous spring rains, and he looked down there and pointed toward one of these really giant stones, and he said, "I never thought I'd see that one get moved, but it moved." And
Yeah.
I was so impressed, that he was he was he was aware of details like that. And he could talk about so much that was there in the past. And anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. He was very aware of his environment, his surroundings, and how everything sort of worked. He was great.
yeah,
I miss him a lot sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but when you were about 18, 17, 18. I don't remember why or how, but you and I were in contact, uh, and your parents warned you, cautioned you about me being a bad influence.
Well, they said terrible things about you, David.
Yeah, um, yeah, uh,
I was a bad enough influence on myself. I didn't need any help. Uh,
yeah.
I don't think that they were really concerned about you. They loved you.
Uh, well, you just told me that. Uh, yeah, well, I had a sort of reputation. Yeah, Bob once told me that I reminded him of Bill Lambert. Good Lord.
Yeah,
And the
remember
first
Bill,
time, go on.
remember Bill Lambert. I'll never forget Bill Lambert. He was a piece of work.
Yeah. The first time they met him, he came in and he drank all their booze.
Yep. Yep. I remember Bill Lambert, he would kill a boar and they would have a cookout. They'd bury the boar in the ground and cook it. And it was funny. I was reading through uh, the old the Tassajara cookbook that my parents wrote.
Yeah.
That grandmother had a hand in, and Bill Lambert, they had a recipe, and it was for four sturdy young. You take a bull, a good bull, and you cook it all day. You bury it under hot rocks, and then you need four sturdy cowboys to take it out of the ground. And if you have an unwanted guest at the party, you take the bull's eye and you put it in their martini instead of an olive.
Oh, far out. I didn't
Yeah.
know. I have that book on Cuke.com.
Yeah.
It's reproduced it.
I've got a box of them. I'll get one into your hand somehow.
Oh, I've got
I
one. I've got one.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
but uh, you could still sell them. All you need to do is credit Sunset Magazine with two of the recipes. Uh,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
know about that?
I know that there's two recipes that were in Sunset Magazine in the book.
Yeah, but they didn't realize it when they did the book because, let's see, what are their names? Jim and Ray, who were the cooks. Is that their
Yeah,
name?
I think
Uh,
that's right. That sounds
uh,
right.
and they they had forgotten that's where they got those recipes. So it was in the book without
Permission.
Bob and Anna realizing it. But the Sunset Magazine people were familiar with Tassajara. They went to Tassajara. As a matter of fact, the owner, a guy named Mel something, Mel was one of the people considering buying Tassajara. And so there's somebody in Sunset Magazine let them know that was fine for them to sell it at Tassajara. But anyway, nobody'd care anymore. I would think you could just add a little something there, and you could you could you could sell that book. I think.
I probably could. I think I'm going to give them to friends. I have a pretty neat collection of stuff from Tassajara, from our days in Tassajara. I have the guest registers. I have coasters from the bar. We had a bar in the dining room, and
Right. Oh yeah.
coasters from the bar. And I have some neat stuff that I think I'm going to give to Zen Center just
No,
so that they
don't.
don't.
It'll be lost. It'll be Zen Center turns all their archives over to Bancroft Library. That's it. It's like putting it in a grave.
Oh, I'll forget about it. I won't do
Yeah.
it then.
Uh,
I'm glad.
no. Yeah, we can't access old photographs.
Oh, and maps. And I have old photographs. I have a photograph of the original Zendo being built in 1971, I think it was. But it's all the students carrying beams and building it. So I've got some neat stuff. I've got to dig it
That,
out. And,
well, that's not the original Zendo. That would be the Zendo. I mean, the original Zendo was the old like living room where the bar was, uh,
right.
uh, and and sometimes a dining room, and the that burned down in '78, and then
Right.
the other Zendo that was up higher was built.
Right.
But
Right.
there was a lot of work that went on in the what our original Zendo was. What do you tell me? What you remember about like what about like that area? Because it was all torn down. I mean, I was living at Tassajara just a few months after we bought it, but there was
Yeah.
a lot of demolition going on, and the where the kitchen now is where the dining room was, right?
That's right. And yeah, the stone rooms are all the same, and the office is where we had the office. I think is still the original office,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then but I seem to remember that the dining room that there was a smaller dining room adjacent to the kitchen where the kitchen is.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
That became our kitchen.
yeah, yeah,
That was the staff dining room, and there was a guy named Howard Campbell who, as soon as we bought it, he came down as caretaker, and Jim Holmes and Lori and Bill Parker and I can't remember her name were there, and anyway, Howard knew that Zen Center wanted to build a new kitchen, so he tore down the existing kitchen and
yeah.
was then Dick Baker and Suzuki went to Tassajara and were absolutely horrified to see the kitchen was gone. He said, "But I thought you wanted to build a new one." But then there was no kitchen to use while they're building the new one. And
Right.
so the kitchen, the old staff kitchen became Tassajara's kitchen, and the new kitchen wasn't used till 1971. So that went on for 5 years, 4 years.
Wow, wow. Well, see, I seem to remember that the dining room was so at the back of the dining room there was a bar. You
Well, there,
know,
yeah, I know where the bar was.
but they also had dining. They had tables in there. I remember tables
Yeah,
uh, eating there as well. In
yeah.
the where the current dining room is. Uh, and I may be wrong about that, but that's in my very young memory.
Oh, where the
Uh,
current dining room is? That's where your parents lived.
well, it was divided. They had a front. There was a space in front of the bar where you could sit and eat, but beyond that was the quarters, was the room, the bedroom, and all of that stuff.
Wow. You mean in below the dorm in the that was the old clubhouse. That used to be a bar years and years ago. You remember a bar in there?
Yeah. In the dining room, in the current dining room, there was a bar in the back of the dining room, at the very back by the creek. And down below that, down below it was what they told me was a jail. It was that concrete room down there. My dad said that, well, that was a jail that they'd throw the drunks in if they got to be a problem. Which
That's
may have
funny.
been bullshit. He may have been bullshitting me. I don't know, but curious child, I asked about everything, and he said, well, that was it, yeah, because it
Uh,
had bars on it. I remember that.
but that's very interesting because the main bar was in where the Zendo went. There was a big bar there. Um,
Right, right across from the dining room.
yeah. Well, there was.
By the bridge.
Oh well, no. Where the where the students eat inside now,
Yeah,
not in the Zendo.
yeah.
That became our Zendo, and there was a bar there before
Oh,
we put it in the Zendo. And that was there was a bar there. Our first guest season, that the bar was still there, and we were using the clubhouse, like below the dorm by the creek, you know, at the intersection of the two creeks. We were using
Right.
that as a Zendo, and then af- at the end of the first guest season, in a matter of days, Paul's Disco, uh, they'd already done all the work. They tore out that bar. They tore out the walls in the back. There was an office there. They opened up the room, and they built a platform over the old fireplace and put the altar up there with tatamis. And they put in all the tatamis and the divider and everything. They did that in like a matter of days before the first practice period started. Uh,
That was the first season. The
yeah,
first.
well, that was the end of the first guest season. The
Okay.
first guest season was like May 1st through June. And
Right.
then the practice period started like July 3rd. So probably it ended before the end of June, Uh, maybe it went on for 6 weeks or something, or 7 weeks. And then the practice period was only 2 months, and it wasn't even a full 2 months because it went, July and August. And then September and into October was another guest season.
Right. Which has since changed. I mean, summer, the entire summer is the guest season now.
Right. That only happened that first year because they wanted to start off right away with a practice period. After that, the practice periods were in the fall and the spring, and the guest season was May 1st through about September, uh, first few days in September. Maybe it ended in early September, and then no, it actually went on a little long, maybe to mid-September. I'm not quite sure. And the practice periods were only 60 days long until 1970. In the spring, they started being 90.
Yeah. Hey, there was a woman who was the abbot of of Tassajara for a while, and then she went and she was an abbot in Texas. Do you remember her name?
Barbara, Barbara, um, yeah,
Hey, this
she went to Austin.
yeah.
Well, also Galen went to
Galen,
Houston. Galen
Galen,
went to Houston.
Galen, I was thinking of.
Huh? Is Galen?
It was
Yeah.
Galen. And
Galen
and
went to Houston, and she's
I've
still
got
there. She's still the abbot of the Houston Zen Center.
I've got a funny Galen story.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I went up to Tassajara with my cousin Robin, who you've met, and it's been some time, and her mother, who is my father's brother's wife, my aunt Florence. And Florence at that point in time had a little bit of dementia. And we all went up to stay one summer, and I think my dad was with us. Yeah, it was my dad, not my mom. And I remember Florence came up, and Florence was from Montana. She was a girl who grew up on a ranch in Montana. And she said, Galen met us and it was very gracious and welcomed us and said hello to the family. And Florence said, um, do you catch a lot of trout to Galen from the creek? And Galen said, well, we don't really eat meat. We don't fish for trout here. And she said, oh, well, I can show you how to do it. And with her Montana accent, I can show you how to catch trout. She goes, it's easy. You people should be eating some of these delicious trout that you have in the creek right here. And Galen Galen realized that she was that my aunt Florence didn't really get it, that the Buddhists didn't eat meat and didn't go fishing and fish for trout, but she insisted that she could help her learn how to catch trout. And Galen was very gracious and said, "Oh, that's lovely of you to offer, and but we probably won't catch any trout." And she said, "No, I can show you how." And she kept on insisting on it. It was pretty funny,
Oh,
and
yeah.
but just assuming, she couldn't understand that if there was a creek with fish in it, that you weren't catching the fish and eating it. She didn't understand that one of the precepts of Buddhism is that you don't eat meat. And so she kept on insisting that she could help them learn how to catch the trout. And Galen, very politely and kindly, just said, "Well, we don't do that." So yeah, it was one of those moments that was it was funny to me, and I was standing by my cousin, her Florence, my aunt Florence's daughter, and we were both trying not to laugh as Florence was talking.
That's funny. That's funny. Now, when was the last time you saw any trout in that creek?
Oh, Rhoda and I haven't been up there. It's been 4 years since we've been up there. A lot has, my mother had cancer and we've been pretty, pretty busy. So it's been about 4 years, and we saw trout. We saw trout in the creek the last time we were up there.
Where'd you see him?
Uh, I saw trout in the pool by the baths, and I saw trout upstream a little bit. Do you remember when you took me up to the Orioke bowls?
Wow. Wow, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Wow.
Anyway, we went up by Sandy Beach and heading up the stream, and then when I was with Ronan, he swam down in the Narrows and he saw a big trout down near the bottom, just finning along.
Wow, that's great. I think there
And
used to be a lot more because it was, fishing at Tassajara was a big deal
yeah,
like 100 years ago.
yeah,
Uh,
it was. And when Ronan and I were there about 10 years ago, we were down at the Narrows and there were trout. They must have been steelhead trying to jump up the Narrows. They were trying to jump like
really?
salmon. Yeah,
Oh, that is so great to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ah,
I also have a video of Ronan when he was about 6 years old, when we were up there the first time that he went down the slide at the Narrows. And I took a video of him sitting at the top of the slide at the Narrows, the rock slide that
oh,
you go down on.
sure, sure.
And he was scared to do it. And I said, "Just go. It's going to be okay, buddy." And I said, "I'm going to count to three." I said, "Count to three." And he he does 1, 2, 3, and then he screams and he goes down the slide. And that was his first time down the slide.
Oh,
And
that
I
is great. That is
it,
great. Oh, yeah. I have all the film that had Suzuki in it and all the early film and some later film and video I have on the shunyusuzuki.com site. That's sort of the archive of all that. And one of them is from the KQED film 1969, has Dan Welsh, Tim Bunkley, maybe Tim Aston, Ed Brown, and me
uh,
at the Narrows naked, and Dan going down the slide in full lotus.
is that all, is that it's shunryosuzuki.com?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Have you published, do you have some of the film and the
It's all
photograph?
there. It's all there.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to go
Yeah,
take a.
yeah.
Oh, awesome. Hey, David, I want to pick your brain about Bali at some point too. We don't have to do it now, but
Let's. You can do it now. You can do it now. I'll cut it out because people are always asking me about Bali when I do the podcast.
yeah,
But
I'm sure.
uh, we could talk. Oh, hang on. Somebody is here. My darling wife, and she's bringing me the chai.
I could.
Katrika, I'm talking to Anna Beck. You would really
Hi,
find
Adam.
this interesting. Oh, how
I
about
re-
over here? Oh, thank you. So, no. Down here.
Okay.
I just don't put any liquid above my computers.
Got it.
Uh,
Okay.
do you remember Adam?
Of course I do.
Oh, great.
From the Pelican Inn, Adam.
yeah. It,
Are you there?
how,
Shit.
yeah.
He's here. Here,
Oh.
say hello to him.
Hi. Hi, Adam. It's Katrinka from the Pelican Inn, or formerly from the Pelican Inn.
Hi, Katrinka. How are you?
Do you remember that interview we had?
Oh, yeah. And
Many long times ago. And I've
and
seen
then
you around since then. How do you talk to Lisa?
I just saw Peter, but I didn't see Lisa.
Okay.
Uh, and it's been ages since I've seen you, but it's lovely to hear your voice. And
Yeah.
I remember seeing you in Marin, and I also remember us eating at the Pine Inn in Carmel.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Uh, I'm not sure.
My mother and father were there, and I don't
Oh.
know what we were doing, but we had decided to go and have brunch. I think maybe you and David were staying there. I can't remember, but
Ah, cool.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's nice to speak to you over there in Indonesia.
Yeah, well, you must come for a visit. We have a guest room.
I'm planning on coming to I'm going to Southeast Asia next year.
Great.
I'm going to go to Thailand, Bali, Vietnam, I think, and Cambodia.
Well, just keep in touch.
I
And
shall. Be well.
cool, you
Nice.
too. Bye. Here's David.
Okay.
What did you say that she was so?
He's going to be in Southeast Asia next year in Bali. And
Oh, cool. You got to come here, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll come visit.
we
Yeah,
have a guest room.
we've got a nice guest room.
Oh yeah, I'd love to come say hello.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop around Southeast Asia a little bit. I've thought about retiring there. Uh, spending my the rest of my life over there, or perhaps Western Europe. I want to, but I've never been to Southeast Asia, so I need to go and dip my toe in the water and see how it feels.
Uh, well, the difference in cost between Southeast Asia and Western Europe is pretty extreme.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, where we live, how we live, you'd have to be a multimillionaire in America to live this way.
Wow. Wow.
And also, the people here are very nice, and the crime rate is very, very low.
Interesting.
Uh, Maybe not as low as Japan, but the people are cool, man. And
Yeah.
but it's crowded, and there's problems.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I say sometimes it's a nice place to live, but I wouldn't want to visit here because there's so many tourists and everything. But man, once you get set in here, um, I like language, so I'm really into Indonesian language, and the people who work for us don't speak English mainly, and anyway, it's nice. But
Well,
Thailand's good. People like Thailand, and I, there's other places in Indonesia that are good, but Bali is particularly good.
yeah.
But
It's been your home for a long time now.
yeah, December will make it 12 years.
Wow. I thought it'd been longer than that, but maybe I was.
Mm-mm.
Where were you guys last when you were in the States? Where were you?
We
Were
were
you in?
in San Rafael for 2 years before we came here, and before that, there's a Zen teacher named John Tarrant at the Pacific Zen Institute, and we lived in his barn, and which
Oh,
I had remodeled. It had been remodeled somewhat. The second floor, it was very big before I got there, and I lived there like 2003. I moved there in 2003, but then I went to Asia for most of the rest of the year, and so 2004 till 2011, when we went to San Rafael for 2 months, 2 years, and then we came here, and we got together in 2004, and we got married here 10 years ago. We just had our 10th wedding anniversary.
wow. Wow. I remember when you guys were living in sin.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. And
Yeah.
there's a phrase for that here. People makes people laugh. Uh, and yeah. Mm. So
David,
yeah.
I've got to get going before too long. I have to get up in the morning and transport my fine young son to the gym and to his drum lesson. So I've got to go sleep before too long. Um,
Yeah, well, we've covered a lot. It's been really interesting talking with you. Your, I love all your memories of Tassajara and I don't know, just everything you had to say was neat. And also, it's just good talking with you and catching up, and now learning that we will be able to catch up next year. When are you planning on coming? Hey, let me tell you,
well,
this is the best time of year by far. It's just so it's sort of cool and windy but we think it's cool when it's 80, you know.
yeah. Well, I was thinking about January, February, March or April, and that may I don't have anything set in stone. It depends on work and and also the kid, all that stuff. So it would mean me taking a hiatus from work. Uh, so I have to figure out the logistics of it, but and I also have to research a little bit about weather and travel conditions. And I'm cool coming when there aren't a lot of tourists there, even if it means it's in the off season and it's not, more inclement weather and everything. But
Yeah, April is good. March and April are good. The big, uh, I I don't know what to say about it. Always seems like there's a lot of tourists here, but that's not true because I know talking to taxi drivers and people, and I can see it in the restaurants and stuff.
yeah,
Uh, uh, around the Christmas, New Year's holidays, and July and August are big months. Rainy season is November through March. And you don't know if it's going to be raining or not, or when, or if it's going to be a heavy year or a light year. It's and April's good.
April.
Uh,
Okay,
I
that's
think
good.
April is a very good time to come. The usually it starts getting a little cooler than, but
Do you
yeah,
do you, do you recommend flying into some place like Bangkok and then hopping over there, or
Singapore. Singapore is the best hub in Asia.
okay, okay,
Uh, and Singapore is very cool. It's expensive, but Singapore's a few days in Singapore is time well spent.
okay.
And Bangkok, we love Bangkok, man. In Bangkok though, that you talk about congestion. Whoa! But uh, you know you can arrive at the airport there and uh, take. You can get to the river, stay on the river, and then there's like a freeway and the river, and I don't know what since then, but if you're on the river, there's so much off the river. There's great like boats going up and down the river, sort of like ferries that
Yeah.
stop, at each stop, and there's a lot to do in Thailand, and there's some really cool. Actually, there's some cool islands up north where Bangkok is, and anyway, Thailand's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Love Thailand.
Well, I'm going to be an intrepid explorer. I'm going to try and, taste each country and see how it feels to me and spend a little time in Vietnam and a little time in Thailand, a little time in Bali and,
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I we haven't been to Thailand, and I don't want to go anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to Germany. That's the only place I've been because Richard Baker's group brings me over there. You know, they've and now they're bringing Katrinka and me there for 20 days in September, October,
Oh,
and,
cool.
and yeah, you know,
It,
Richard Baker just had a stroke recently.
I saw that on I'm friends with the San Francisco Zen Center on Facebook, and I saw that in on the media on social media
Yeah,
that he had.
he's doing good. It only affected his speech and you know getting words back and he's otherwise he's fine and he's already given talks.
David, whatever happened? So I remember that he had been ostracized from the Zen community, after his improprieties, so to speak. Is he back in the good graces and everything is cool?
Yeah, Zen Center has evolved and matured, and the people who held grudges or whatever are they're in the Zen Center retirement home mainly, but also it's just so much time. There is a big Zen Center retirement place. It's
Oh, is there?
formidable. Oh yeah, it's something. And so multi-million-dollar place, and anybody at Zen Center who's worked for Zen Center 20 years, they can go there and retire free.
Wow.
And other people buy into it, and it is really nice. I mean, I do podcasts with people that are there, and I hear a lot about it. It's got a beautiful saltwater pool. It's got hiking trails.
It's funny. There were some of the old Zens who were at Green Gulch, and for a while I was working in Mill Valley, and they would stop. I worked at a place called Joe's Taco Lounge in Mill Valley.
Uh-huh.
And some of the old Zens remembered me from when they were at Tassajara when I was little. And they would come in and I'd say, "Oh, are you coming from Green Gulch?" And they would say, "Yes, how did you know?" And they would have their robes on. And I would say, I would say, well, because I was born and immediately moved to Tassajara. And they say, "Oh, you've been to Tassajara?" And I said, "Well, my parents sold it to Zen Center." And they would go, who are you? And I would say, "I'm Adam Beck." And they would say, "Oh my God, I remember you when you were just a little big little kid running around."
That's
And there were
great. That's
two,
great.
two in particular. There was Daigon, who passed, and
Right.
his wife, Shirley.
Yeah.
Shirley?
No. Um,
Uh,
God. Uh,
Come on, bro.
uh, Daikon. And I mean, I could get it for you in a minute just looking on Cuke.com.
On the tip
Just
of
right
my,
now, I can't remember.
I probably have them in my contact. He passed away,
Yeah.
uh, and I remember I saw her afterwards and gave her a hug but anyways, it was kind of funny because there but the all of the Green Gulch people, they would cheat because they would come and have a burger. They would get a burger at Joe's Taco Lounge, and and
Yeah.
I remember at one point, Digon, not Leslie, what was her name? Anyways, they were eating at the car, and I said, "My lips are sealed. Your secrets are safe with me," and they laughed.
Oh,
You know,
that's funny.
they
That's
were
funny.
stopping for a burger before they went back to have dinner at Green Gulch. It was
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that thing with Richard Baker, I have, he and I are close.
Yeah.
And, somebody posted something on Facebook recently. Somebody was in Zen Center for years. That what this abuser of women is going to Zen Center to give a talk, and then blah blah blah. And I I pointed out what I just put a little link to the page for that. I have a separate section actually about all that on there, and I said just go down to the bottom of this page and read what I just posted in response to what you said. And what it said was that I have interviewed hundreds and have the memories of hundreds and hundreds of women who were in Zen Center, and not once has any of them complained about Richard Baker doing anything inappropriate sexually. No,
Right.
no one ever accused him of. There's been no complaints about that, but because he had a long affair with his assistant, and then a weekend affair that was very high profile.
Right.
The thing of it just took a life of its own. And I read in the New York Review of Books that women were being assigned to be his concubine when they came to Zen Center. It just sort of grew on, and he became like somewhat a
Pariah.
pariah in the Zen world in America, just, just jumping to conclusions. But what I said in my note was, if you want to beat up on Dick about stuff that happened 40 years ago, there's more fertile ground. You can talk about his imperial style managing. You can talk about how his sense of entitlement and spending way too much money and stuff like that. But there wasn't any of that other stuff.
Well, and I remember he went on his penance. He did his walk. You know,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I remember all this stuff. It was I always really liked him. He was just he was around. He'd come to the house in Carmel. Along with you, and I've got some great stories that I can remember about all that stuff. Uh,
Well,
and
yeah.
my dad really liked Dick
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah.
They,
I talk about that in this book that's coming out in September. Uh, I talk about their relationship,
yeah.
and yeah, there's a good. You'll see. There's a lot about um, about all of you
Oh,
there.
I can't wait. I pre-ordered the book on Amazon.
Oh, great, good for you. Also, your one in the second book. I've got your wonderful your wonderful UFO story.
Oh yeah. God, that was something, David. That was really, and I reminded my mother of that years later. And she said, "Oh my God, you remember that?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, and we were in my dad's Porsche. Do you remember that? The Porsche with the convertible?
No.
Anyways, he drove that thing over the road, which was a huge mistake. Uh, anyways, and this thing just floated around the corner. The whole family saw it, and
Yeah.
my dad said, "Well, it's probably swamp gas. There's a phenomenon called swamp gas, that glows." And he said something, and then we sat and watched this thing just come around the hill. I think up by Chews Ridge, but it was remarkable. We couldn't explain it really.
What year was it?
Oh, that must have been 1970. Oh, 67, 1973, 74. We were young. I was young. I was 6, 7.
Hmm. That might be in the third book.
Yeah.
I have I have other UFO stories from people, really good ones, in the third book. because I'm making the audiobook for the second book now, and I'm approaching the end, and I haven't seen that yet. The,
Yeah.
the whole thing, the whole three books together, probably about 800 pages.
Wow. Busy. You've been busy.
Yeah, it's not just about Tassajara.
Yeah.
It's called Tassajara Stories, but it's also a memoir, and it talks about stuff happening in the city and anybody's good stories.
Yeah.
I'd throw in.
Awesome.
Doesn't matter where they happened.
I can't wait to read it. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna give it to Ronan to read because he feels it's funny. Ronan, my son, he's been going up there since he was little, and when my mom was still alive, she told him stories about Tassajara and he feels a definite sense of connection to Tassajara. So
Yeah.
it's kind of and my mom, I gave her a picture of him. He was playing in the creek. We had uh, hiked up the creek a little ways, and he was playing in the creek when he was about 5, I think, or something. And she said, "Oh my God," she said, "that looks like you when you were a little kid playing in the creek." He looks
Uh,
just like me, so it was kind of neat.
hey, I want you. Can you tell that a little more about that your UFO story? What do you remember?
I remember, I remember uh, we were dri we were driving and we were we were going I can't remember exactly where it was. It was past the bathtub.
No,
And
it was. If I remember, because I've heard it from Bob, Anna, and you.
yeah,
My sense is that it's coming down on the other side.
yeah, I think that's right. I think we were going downhill at that point. We were coming, yeah,
Yeah.
we tested the ridge and we were coming down on the other side. And so we were going out of Tassajara and it was over to our left and this thing was just sort of floating in the valley. It was a really big orb. It was round and it had sort of an amorphous outline, an indistinct outline, but it was purple and it was glowing. It was purple against the background of the it was dusk. It was getting dark, and this thing was unmistakably floating just right through the center of the valley and stopped, and then sort of seemed to go float back behind the hill. And it was and both of my parents, you know, just we collectively remembered it as a family, and my mother had forgotten about it for years. But I brought it. I said, "Mom," because I didn't know if it was a figment of my imagination, something that I had imagined as a child. And I said, "Mom, do you remember when we all saw that huge glowing purple ball?" And she said, "Oh my God." She said, "You remember?" She said, "That was extraordinary. What we could never explain." We sat and watched this. My dad stopped the car, and I think either myself or Katie noticed it and said, "Daddy, what's that?" You know,
Wow. You said it
and
was huge. Do you have a sense of how huge?
yeah, I would say that it must have been probably I'm going to use probably as a frame of reference 50 to 75 yards across, something like that. It was big.
That's big. Yeah. I have heard, and these are firsthand stories. Two other stories of very huge experiences that were, completely impossible. They were not normal things from Earth.
Yeah. Well,
Now, now what you saw is an unusual type UFO story. So I'm not saying it's not from Earth, but it's fucking unusual, man. Good Lord.
it was, it was, and it was unusual that that four people can corroborate it, and it wasn't a shared delusional experience. I don't think it was, you know,
Yeah.
it definitely happened. And and my father sort of being, he had a very mathematical and scientific mind, and he was a naval officer, and he said, well, it could be swamp gas, uh, it could be a natural phenomenon, and there was some atmosphere, there was some slight haze, going out towards Big Sur, out towards the coast,
Yeah.
but that far in the background, and this thing was juxtaposed in front of this. The sun had gone down over the hills. It was dusk. The bats, were flying around the road and flying around the car. I remember it, and I'll never forget it. It was a
Yeah.
distinct impression
Yeah. Yeah.
in my little brain.
You know, it's amazing how strong the scientific consensus is that there's no proof of life outside of Earth yet, and that all the UFO stories can be explained away. I don't think that's true if you really look into it, and I don't think it matters because they're not contacting me. I'm having no experience with it, so whatever. But
Yeah,
the resistance to even looking truly skeptically, which means to look at UFO reports, the resistance to investigating unusual phenomena is
yeah,
very strong.
yeah. Well, it disrupts our ordered perception of things. And I think that how could there not be other life?
Yeah,
That's human exceptionalism to imagine that we are the only game in town, right? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. That I mean, it's ridiculous. Uh, uh, Buddhism, and in my experience, and Hinduism, if you look into it, and a lot of stuff, a lot of New Age stuff, sees a universe that's nothing but life, nothing but
Yeah,
awareness, and that there is nothing that isn't, you know, from awareness and life in some way. I mean, there's inanimate stuff, but it exists within. To me, it exists within some indescribable something.
I mean, you can imagine with as vast as the universe is that we might be a tiny cell in some greater organism's body. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah,
you can imagine, we're a dust mote.
yeah, yeah. Well, that could well be true. I mean, I think a lot of existence is phenomenal. Existence is imaginary in a sense. That anything you can imagine can be true.
Sure.
There's just overlap. To me, there's just overlapping levels of existence and non-existence. But you know, and I grew up around a lot of far out stuff, and so it wasn't new to me as I would run into it. But I think it was really good for me to run into Zen and Taoism and stuff because the way I relate to it is I'm like Madonna. I'm a physical world girl living in a physical world, right? That's the way I relate to it. I mean, I, I don't seek out unusual experience or anything. Just whatever's in front of me. That's it.
Yeah. Well, the light hits our eyes and sound vibrates our eardrums, and our senses we are fed light and sound images, and that's how we perceive the world. Who
Yeah.
knows what our as there are, that we are seeing the entire spectrum of things, right?
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. And also, everything that we are perceiving is our mind. I mean,
Absolutely.
like you say, it's just we're perceiving it. So when we look at the sky, that's our mind.
Yeah.
And I was just recording some story for this book. A woman is working in the garden at Tassajara, and she looks Joanne Bull, who went on to found Gilda's club, cancer group, Gilda Rodner. But anyway, she sees Francis Thompson. She said about 75 feet away. She said, and all of a sudden, there was no space between us. We were the same. I was in her mind. She was in my mind. I mean, so she had that experience of the where there's no place where we end and everything else begins.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in our lives, in all of our lives, in some way, although we may, because of our conditioning and societal conditioning, have that shared experience with other people, but don't aren't attuned to it, so we don't recognize it for what it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
And
it,
I don't believe in trying to experience anything other than mundane experience. And then transcendent experience happens on its own, not because we're seeking it.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Hey, fun
Yeah.
talking with you. You got to get up and drive your boy.
Got
Uh,
a team. Well, hopefully you can meet him sometime, David. And it just occurred to me I should try and track down Clay and say hello to him sometime.
sure, sure.
But
Yeah, he's pretty far out, and his mate is wonderful. And yeah, yeah. Uh, he's I can connect you easily. Um,
yeah,
he's on Facebook as Cezanne Favre. He's got a pseudonym on Facebook. He'd been through a lot of changes. He used to be a lot of trouble, uh,
I
and, which isn't unusual. Uh, and but he's evolved very nicely, and which I didn't necessarily think was going to happen. Uh,
It- is his mother still? Does Diane? Where's Diane?
Daya,
Diane.
she'd been
Diane. Well,
Daya for the last, I don't know, 35 years. She's in
that's
Spokane.
okay.
That's not his mother. That's Kelly's mother.
Ellie's mother. Okay. That's right.
And
Right.
Kelly goes to Tassajara now to trim trees. He's got a big tree trimming business in Spokane uh, called
I was.
Spirit Pruners.
I
And
was.
they go down. One year he went down and just trimmed trees in Jamesburg and there, for free, for fun. And then they brought a couple of his crew with him, and then now they're just flying him down there and covering their costs, and trimming trees. He said they trimmed 65 trees at Tassajara this year, and
Wow.
they took out 15. And he said some of the work was like pretty dangerous, and had three. Tassajara, as understaffed as it is, gave them three people just to clean up as they worked,
Wow.
because what they were doing, other people couldn't do. They'd have to
Right.
hire people to do. So you don't want them wasting their time cleaning up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, he loves it, and man, you ought to listen to his. I've done 2 podcasts with him specifically about being at Tassajara trimming and, his memories. And one of them just went up, a few weeks ago. You might enjoy that. I would think so. So his mother's Diane, you'd remember. Clay's mother is Elin.
Elin, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she's living in Santa Rosa. She married another older guy who's overweight, and they're doing fine. She's retired as a school teacher, and she's not much older than you, you know.
Yeah.
You were born in 64. She was born in 61.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's great.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, I was just in Spokane. My cousin's in Spokane. We're close. I just flew back from Utah about 4 days ago, and my cousin Robin's in Spokane. And it occurred to me after I had been in Spokane, I knew Dia was there ages ago, and it didn't occur to me to try and look her up and see her and say hello.
Yeah, you look up Kelly and let him take you there because Kelly's. I think you'd really enjoy knowing Kelly.
Yeah.
But Dia's cool. Dia's cool. She'd love to see you. She'll remember you well. And she lives with a guy named Ted who, I think he was a forest ranger or something like that. And they have two houses. They have one, Ted's place outside of town, and she has a place in town there.
Yeah. I kind of dig Spokane. It's a cool city.
I love Spokane. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of family there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, hey, next time, be sure and look Kelly up. Definitely. Okay.
right. We'll talk again soon. When I come up for air in the midst of all my busyness, I will send you a heads up and we'll try and talk again.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, this has been terrific.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Good to see you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So thanks a lot, Adam. Adam Beck. Hey, we got to get a page with your, some of your art on it. And look, if anybody wants to see Adam's art, I don't even know if you have a website or anything. We didn't talk about it. Well, he's on, Adam Beck is on Facebook. Let me see, just real quick. Nope. All right, so if you want to see some of his art, get hold of me. Just go to kook.com and find Contact DC. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Adam. Appreciate it. I look forward to the next time we communicate. And until then, this has been a Kook Audio Podcast. I'm DC, Poobah of Kook Audio and Kook Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggy Bandita, Feline Manis, and dear lovely Katrinka, who is actually right now in Raja Empat. Hey, Google it. Cool place. I ain't been there. I stay here and work. Rajaempat, Kings, 4. In other words, the 4 Kings. It's some islands off Papua New Guinea. And it's supposed to be one of the great remaining places to snorkel and dive until, the warming oceans kill everything there, too. Pardon my negativity. It's not all dead, but boy, I'm seeing it. Boy, I've seen it. I'm seeing the bleaching of the coral, let me tell you. And the coral I see that's happening over there. In some other places, it's doing all right. But, the human race it's just self-destructive. And this earth, the whole planet, of course, is part of ourself. We don't survive independently of it, but there's nobody listening to this that needs to hear that from me. So anyway, from Doña Bandita Feline Manis and dear lovely Katrinka and all of us, we're wishing you and all of us a grand awakening.